Hello, gal pals, and hello to the gents as well. I've had a couple men ask me why I am not addressing the men that watch by saying hello to the gents. So there you go. I want to just share, and I may have already shared this with you guys already, but the other day I had a little get together with some girlfriends. It started out with one friend that was going to come over just for lunch, and then we decided to invite another gal and then another one, and so it ended up to be about 6 of us. But I just made a salad, and then I had some salami and cheese for a little hors d'oeuvre, and then everybody kind of brought a little something. So it ended up being a nice little gathering of women, and I'm kind of smiling because a couple things happened during the party that I want to share with you guys. Number one, two new gals actually were there that one that I had never met and one that I didn't really know very well, but I got to know her a lot better, and I just love her to death. So, and Annie was there, and you guys have heard me talk about Annie plenty. And so I had some clothing that I had set aside for our church's yard sale that I ended up not participating in. So I said, Annie, come in my closet. Let's do it right now. And I want you to try on some of these outfits I've set aside for you. And let's do it while the other gals are here, and we'll have like a fashion show. And we did. So anyway, oh my gosh, all the things that she tried on were adorable on her. So she had a good haul, and we had fun with the fashion show. And then I had a dinner date that night, so I got dressed for my dinner date, and with the girls still there. And so I tried on a few things, and they were like, no on that one, yes on that one. So, and then they were there when my friend came, and they were able to meet him. And we had a lovely evening. And so, but anyway, the other thing I wanted to share about our girl time was, it was just fun to talk about girl stuff. And one of the gals was from Canada, and she's a part-timer. And so she was like, oh, I don't know if I should be saying this, or I want to, tell you guys something. And we were like, what? Go ahead. And so anyway, part of the conversation was that it's okay, and it was fun to talk about subjects that were on our mind, subjects that all of us have in common as women. And it was fun to share, and we giggled and we laughed, and we just had a good time. So, okay, that was, when was that? I think that was last Thursday. Yeah, it was last Thursday, and I may have already even told you that. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to share with you is, you guys, I don't like this getting old business. Tonight, you got it. I colored my hair. You can see it's darker, and I'm not crazy about it. I will be. Somebody pointed out to me that it's not permanent hair color. It's semi-permanent, and it will wash out in so many weeks, so that's fine. But in the meantime, I prolonged another $100 and something visit to my hairdresser. But I just followed these directions. The first thing I did was I just parted my hair. I went down the middle, and I put this side tied it off in a big barrette or clippy. And then I did this, and the directions say, do your roots. So I did the roots. When I got back here where I could not see, I just like dot, dot, dot. And then I took my hands and kind of rubbed it in. Then I parted it. It says part about a 1/2 inch apart. I did part, long hair, squirted the dye, took my fingers, rubbed it in, continued to do that, continued to do that, continued to do that. Then I took all this and clipped it up. And then I started this side, parted it, And then I took that little squeezy tube and squeezed, and then took my fingers. They give you gloves, and rubbed it into the roots. Then, a half an inch, a half an inch, a half an inch. Made sure that it was on the roots, made sure it was good around my head here. Then, after, I kind of misread the directions, but so I walked around the house. It said, leave it on your roots for 15 minutes. But then it said leave on for 20 minutes total or whatever. So I was like, this is what I thought. I thought I did my roots. Okay, I have my hair like pinned up, and I was doing dishes or whatever. Okay, then I went back to the bathroom and I started looking at the directions again. Well, after I did my roots, no, I was supposed to massage all of the hair color into all of my hair. So I left it on my roots a little too long. No matter, because my roots still turned out lighter. You can't tell. Nobody would be able to tell but me. But my roots are actually lighter than the rest of my hair, even though it was actually, the color was actually on my roots longer. So I did, scrunch it all through my hair. I squirted the rest of the bottle on. Really took my time in making sure it was, really on my hair. And then I left it on 20 minutes. And so then I got in the shower, and shampooed my hair. And they give you a wonderful conditioner to put on your hair after you color it. It's in the box. So, and so I did that. And like I said, I'll like it better in a few more washes. It's a little dark. Okay. Then I want to ask you guys, okay, the other thing about hair color. So one of my commenters said something about that they went, eventually they went blonde to help with the transition of not coloring their hair so much and yet not being gray, not letting it go naturally gray. So I am thinking about, especially since summer's coming up, I'm thinking about maybe going blonde. I have gone very light. I have gone blonde before. Not completely blonde, not blonde all over, but very heavy blonde highlights to where it was almost blonde. That was when I was in my early to mid 50s. And I lightened my eyebrows and I lightened my hair. And it was just a real different look. And frankly, I liked it. And other people liked it too. So I may end up doing that because of the toll the color is taking on my hair. So we'll see. It's something I'm going to start thinking about. Maybe I'll try on a few blonde-ish wigs and see, what that looks like on me. I don't know. Okay, enough about my hair. The first thing about the hair is, that's one of the things I don't like about getting old, is that the hair dilemma, the hair coloring, the when to go gray or natural, how to transition into that, when, and all that stuff. So the other thing that I'm dealing with, and I've sort of found a cure for now, is, you guys, who else has horrible acid indigestion? I have been getting horrible acid indigestion, to where it's like, well, I read about it, I Googled it, I YouTubed it and everything. And I did learn that if you go to sleep at an angle on your left side, lean more to the left, that will help ease the burning. And, I've done the Pepto-Bismol. I've even done I put a little bit of baking soda in some water and drink that to neutralize the acid. But I started taking this, and it's been a lifesaver. You take one. I've been taking one in the evening, and then it has totally stopped the acidity in my stomach. But man, and that has just happened as I've gotten older. So, anyway, I don't like that either. This is just not good. It's not good. Okay, here's my factoid for the night. The history lesson for the day. I was watching on Amazon Prime. It's I want to say it is a the guy that did the Civil War, the guy that does those great documentaries. I can't think of his name. Anyway, but this was on. It's called Riding the Rails. I never understood this. Now I do. It's fascinating. After 1929, the Depression, the Great Depression in America, 1930-ish, the families, many families in America, all across America, simply could not afford to feed their children. And I know personally, my father lived in Michigan at the time. He was a little boy, like 7, I think. And his parents sent him away. They could not afford him. They had 3 other girls. They had 4 children. He was the oldest. They sent him to live with his grandparents who had a farm. And they figured, my father's name was Wally. They figured Wally would have fun on the farm. He could, they had plenty of food because they were farmers, and he could work on the, feed the cows and whatever. So, and he did. He had very fond memories of the living with his grandma and grandpa when he had to go there, living on the farm. Okay, so at that same time, many other Americans told their oldest children, usually just their sons, although it did happen to daughters as well, but they told their sons to leave home, that the parents could not afford them anymore. And they were like 13, 14 years old. And the kids, they've interviewed, in Riding the Rails, they have found 10 people, 8 men and 2 women. And they're still alive. They're in their 80s and 90s. And they help to tell the story of riding the rails. So these young children leave home, and usually they've got a stick with a bag on it, and the mothers have put a sandwich in there, and maybe if the dad had any money or whatever, he would give it to the child and say good luck. And so what many of them did, they became hobos. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between hobos, tramps, and bums. So the people that rode the rails, what they did, they just jumped on, they waited. There was a whole process of how to get onto the train safely. So they waited, they hid, like in bushes or whatever. And then when the train started rolling, it got to like a certain speed, and that was when they knew to start jumping on. And if they, to the open cars, open box cars, and then other people that were already in the box car, they would see the ones coming, and then they would help hoist them into the train. Well, then they would get off whenever they wanted. They would go into little towns. They were wanted many times when there was employment and their skills were needed. They needed more people to do the pick fruit and things like that. I forget what that's called. But the hobos, the people that rode the rails, they were workers and they were wanderers. And they had a code that they would pick up coal, and they would write on the walls of the trains, and they would write on anything they could find, and they would let other rail riders or the hobos know, like, this is a good town, contact this person. They always have a hot cup of coffee for you, or no work here, don't bother stopping. Or, this place is dangerous, don't go in. or, this is a great town and, you'll find work. So they, they left each other messages as to like what towns were kind to hobos and what towns were not. Now the hobos, evidently this is common knowledge this is common knowledge. I didn't know it, but okay. The difference between hobos, tramps, and bums. Hobos are considered workers and wanderers. Tramps are considered dreamers and wanderers. Bums are considered drinkers and wanderers. And I guess that's, that's part of the hobo knowledge, I guess. That's what I found on the internet. But the documentary points out that because these young 14, 15-year-olds were asked to leave their homes and fend for themselves, that we lost a generation of people that did not attend school, that did not learn, social manners or certain social skills, because their lives became so different than the normal family life. And it wasn't until I forget which president it was. I think it might have been Wilson. I should know this. But when they started like those work farms, when was it the CDE or the CCC, and where they started putting these young men to work, and they built camps where they lived in tents, and they gave them food and shoes and stuff like that. And then they started building and planting trees for the conservation one. And this area or the time of history I'm referring to. I'll have to get a little bit more knowledge on that. But it wasn't until that started happening, and then eventually World War II came, and then we were a booming economic force to be reckoned with. But it wasn't until I think maybe it was Teddy Roosevelt. I'm not sure who it was, but they started the getting these young men back to work, and the government started paying them. It wasn't a lot of money at all. And they were urged to send money home, but they at least were fed, and they learned a skill, and they had pride of workmanship. And that was the beginning of the end of the Depression. Riding the Rails, Amazon Prime, it's very interesting, and a whole part of our history I really knew nothing about. And it's quite sad. And when you get to know these people that they talk to, and as they tell their stories, it's just, they laugh and they cry. They left their homes, they found freedom, they found courage, but they also, were in danger and lonely because they missed their families. So with that, it's not a very high note I'm leaving you on. But I would like you guys to look into that era of our history. I was fascinated by the whole idea of so many youngsters that just had to leave home. I can't even imagine. All right, P.S. I love you. Mwah. Until our next conversation.